Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today we have 3 new cards to talk about: a Produce SSR for Juri, Support SSR for Fuyuko, and Produce SR for Mano. Keep in mind that Juri and Fuyuko are permanent, so you'll be able to find them in any banner going forward. Let's go ahead and get started. Sparing us the grief of having 5 limited Produce SSRs in the set, Juri 7 is a permanent visual vocal card who prioritizes the duet mechanic we saw introduced a while back. Since she's a Produce card, her duet remains random as to who she gets, so you may need to pray for a bit of luck when using her appeals if you aim for a fast memory appeal. Speaking of, she's our first visual memory appeal for Hokura in a while. It's not half bad either. Really the best thing Juri has going for her is the fact she's vocal, which gives vocal Hokura some much appreciated bonus points in Fest for at least the next 2 seasons. She has all the same positives and negatives as a card like Chiyoko 6, as you would expect. She doesn't quite pack the punch you'd expect since she's a permanent card, but she gives visual Hokura signs of life. Not amazing, but not bad. A good card if Juri is who you're seeking. That being said, however, with the announcement of the new Twilight collection, all permanents are now going to be getting a low recommendation. Despite the fact of her roles of being a center, buffer, attention up, and duet not being terrible, that's just the state of things now. Juri's initial skill is a visual 3.0 appeal that raises your visual by 25% up for 4 turns, your attention by 30% for 4 turns, and duets with Hokago, linking into a visual 3.0 appeal. The 3-star version of this skill is a vocal 4.5 that raises your vocal by 50% for 4 turns, attention 30% for 4 turns, duets with Hokago, and links into a vocal 3.0 appeal. Juri's 1-star passive is a vocal visual 35% up that requires the turn count to be 2 or earlier. This has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a vocal visual 75% up that requires 2 or more active attention up buffs. It has a 20% chance to activate twice, and also unlocks an additional plus 50 visual uncap. Her 3-star uncap is a combined vocal visual plus 100, and her 4-star passive is a vocal 85% up that requires the full Hokago lineup, that has a 20% chance to activate once, and unlocks an additional vocal plus 150 uncap. Her memory appeal, when maxed out, is a visual 2.0 that links into a visual max 3.5 appeal, scaling based on how high your attention is. For the support recommendations, visual is a bit of a mess, all things considered. We have Daikichi because gaming is important, and Space Kaho because there isn't a better Kaho support yet. That will actually change as of the next banner, so this is immediately dated, but that's just what it is. There's a good blend of permanent visual supports that can work for Juri, but it's a little rough for now. The vocal build is not too different from the norm, but Fuyuko offers a new vocal insight that happens to work pretty well with what Juri and Hokura want to do. The rest we've covered in previous videos before, so nothing new really here. As for the team recommendations, visual Hokura. Your win con is honestly just getting a Juri memory appeal off. A Kaho 1 appeal will max out your attention for your memory appeal. Natsuha 5, when built as a visual unit, can be used as an answer to Daikichi, just not an amazing one. Consider using duet supports off stat to help force the issue in Juri's favor. The vocal team is pretty much the same as it's always been, except we swap out Juri for Juri 7. The game plan for this team hasn't changed as of lately. You want to set up for either Kaho 5 or Choco 5 with the power of duet and interest up. Juri provides decent passives and has score bonus for now. As a center, Juri gets, I don't know, I guess an A+ to an S-. I don't think it's fair to judge a center for a team that isn't 100% real yet. If you want an educated guess, I would say it's overall fine. If Hokura get the support they need, this will be your permanent center option until they eventually release some limited visual card that takes their place. My guess is probably Choco. It's a very solid memory appeal in its own right, just needs a bit more time to see use. As a unit, A+. So now we've seen how duet works in practice. Fair to say this card is in general good, but not as completely busted as one could have immediately guessed. The random factor of it forces a lot of adaptation throughout the run, which might not be ideal if you have a very set turn order in mind going into Fest. She can be as much of a burden as she is a boon for your team. Passives are great, stat caps are good, all around a fine card to pick up, but again, with the new advent of an upcoming new type of limited Fest banner actually, permanent banners really fall by the wayside, no matter how good they may or may not look. Next up we have Fuyuko. This time our latest support SSR is Fuyuko, a vocal card who is more or less the same card as the visual Mei not too far back. She generates plenty of SP while she's in the vocal room, can supply back some stamina after being leveled up a bit, and can slightly raise your maximum vocal if she's produced alongside Stray Light cards. Her passives also pack a fair bit of punch, and her 4-star appeal isn't too bad if you need a bunch of active buffs and favor vocal. Her being a new permanent vocal insight for vocal teams is a welcome addition in Grad. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, and Rest Boost, and she has 3 unique support skills. Vocal Mastery SP reaching plus 14 at level 75, Vocal Mastery Stamina reaching plus 3 at level 80, and Unit Mastery Vocal Limit Up reaching plus 3 at level 70. Her support appeal does scale, starting at a Vocal 2.5 out the box, working its way up to a 3.0 by level 80. Her TFT idea is Vocal, her Insight token for Grad is Vocal, and her proficiencies and Landing Point are in Vocal and Dance. Fuyuko's 1-star passive is a Vocal 30% up if you're in the Vocal position, and has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal 65% up and Attention 50% up as long as your mental is 74% or lower, which has a 20% chance to activate twice. Her 3-star uncap is a Vocal plus 100, and her 4-star appeal is a Vocal 3.0 that raises your Vocal, Dance, and Visual by 10% for 5 turns, and your Vocal by 5% for 10 turns. Fuyuko gets an A. Fuyuko's good. She's probably your best choice if you lack a Vocal Insight token for Grad on your Vocal teams, as many of your other options are incredibly old or limited time choices. Her passive clicks well with Hokura and Antika in some ways, and should prove to be a useful permanent support going forward, as useful as permanents can be. The only real complaint you can have is that her passives are just a little weak for modern context, but is still reasonable to use, as you typically only keep passives that are about 50% or higher in terms of overall value, so the 65% is still solid, but it could have been a little bit better. I moderately recommend pulling for Fuyuko, but realistically more of a low, again thanks to Twilight Collection. Last up, we have the event card, Mano. Our event PSR this time is Mano, who is a dance visual unit who follows up what we saw with Miko Mano, but in a much worse way. Mano's appeals raise the activation chances for your passives at 3% and 5% respectively. I could have seen 5% and 10%, honestly, so 3 and 5 come off as almost non-existent, realistically speaking. Other than this, she has the same passive as previous PSRs, a combined plus 50 uncapped dance and visual, and that's about it. Honestly speaking, the real merit for this Mano is that she has access to an easy Dance 2.5 and Visual 3.0. If you do happen to activate the Link appeal, it can hit decently hard, all things considered, so there's at least some level of usability for beginners. Outside of that, Mano is a completely basic character that performs the bare minimum to say she's okay enough to use. If you lack any other Mano card, this can suffice, but you'll quickly replace her with practically anything else, especially what we're going to be seeing up next. Might as well farm for Mano while she's here, she is just a buffer. Mano's initial skill is a Dance 2.5 appeal that raises your passive chance up by 3% for 2 turns, and links into a Dance 1.5. The max version of this skill is Visual 3.0 that raises your passive chance by 5% for 2 turns, links into a Visual 1.5. Her 1-star passive is a Dance 12% up that requires your mental to be 75% or higher, has a 40% chance to activate once. 2-star passive, Visual 24% up. Turn count has to be 3 or earlier, 40% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a Dance Visual plus 50, and her memory appeal when maxed out is a Dance Visual 30% buff for 3 turns that links into a Dance Visual 1.5 appeal. For the support recommendations, this is probably the closest to the ideal setup for a Dance Visual unit. Hiyori and Meguru together will help immensely, while cards like Daikichi still exist because it's an inevitable part of card design for the time being. Mano as a center gets a C, and as a unit gets a C. For her memory appeal, it's not crazy strong, but at least it has some form of finishing touch. Dual stat memory appeals are always a mixed bag, so understand that it may come off weak if you aren't able to balance your dance and visual as you build the card. As a unit, I was going to put C-, but an easy-to-use 2.5 and 3.0 saved Mano from that level of burn for what it's worth. I think the passive bumps on these appeals are practically worthless, so just pretend she's a generic, okay-hitting unit that you'll use until you find any halfway decent Mano-produced SSR. The costume and story are fun, if nothing else. And that will do it for the video today. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Next time we'll be talking about the upcoming Twilight Collection banner, which we've kind of brought up throughout the video. It is the actual FES banner for Shiny Colors, and it's going to be led off with Mano as the produced card, and Kaho as the support. We have no idea what in the world's going on with the banner itself, so we'll try to bring details as we can. All we know is that both of the cards look absolutely ridiculous and have a lot of things going on that seem absolutely bonkers. So, I don't know. I'm very mixed on it currently so far. I don't like the implications of it, and I don't think it really solves a lot of the issues that people have with Grade Fest right now, and I think Mano only really makes that kind of worse. So we'll see. Till the next video, I've been Cho, thanks for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.